When my grandmother passed away, everything lost its color. The art studio we once filled with laughter and the smell of turpentine now sat silent. The brushes were dusty. The tubes of paint were hard and dry. The world just felt grey. I couldn't bring myself to even walk in there, let alone pick up a brush. The grief was a heavy blanket, smothering any spark of inspiration I once had. But then, something strange started happening. Every morning, I'd find new, faint streaks of color on the unfinished canvas I'd left on the easel. It was just a smear of blue here, a dash of yellow there. At first, I thought I was imagining it, a trick of the light or my own wishful thinking. But the marks were real. It was as if someone, or something, was still painting in the quiet hours of the night. It was unsettling, but also a tiny bit magical. My cat, Momo, had always been our studio companion. He'd curl up on a sunlit patch of floor, watching Grandma and me for hours as we worked. His tail would swish back and forth, a furry little metronome to the rhythm of our brush strokes. After Grandma was gone, he started spending all his time in the studio, sitting right by the easel. One day, I walked in and saw him with a smudge of ultramarine on his white paw. I laughed, thinking he'd just been clumsy. "Momo, you silly cat, what have you gotten into?" I cleaned his paw and didn't think much of it. But the next morning, I walked into the studio and froze. The painting had changed again, but this time it wasn't just random streaks. Swirled into the colors on the canvas was the distinct shape of a stargazer lily, my grandmother's absolute favorite flower. A flower I'd never told anyone about. A chill ran down my spine, but it wasn't from fear, it was from wonder. Could it be? Was my little Momo painting? The idea was absurd, but the evidence was right there, blooming on the canvas. That night, I decided to test my theory. I left out a fresh canvas, a palette of new colors, and went to bed with my heart pounding. From then on, it became our secret ritual. Every night, I would leave a blank canvas on the easel, and every morning, a new world would be waiting for me. Momo painted dreamlike scenes, fragmented and beautiful, like memories seen through water. He painted the swing set from my childhood, the old oak tree we used to have picnics under, the carousel from the county fair. These were images locked deep in my heart, moments I had shared with my grandmother. It was like he was pulling the dreams right out of my head and putting them onto the canvas. It was incredible, but a part of me needed to know for sure. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So, one evening, I carefully set up a small camera in the corner of the studio, aimed directly at the easel. I felt a little guilty, like I was spying on something sacred, but the mystery was too strong to ignore. The next morning, I woke up with a mix of excitement and dread. I made a cup of coffee, my hands trembling slightly, and sat down at my computer to watch the footage. The video started in darkness, just the silhouette of the easel against the moonlit window. Then, a small furry shape hopped onto the stool. It was Momo. He dipped his paw delicately into a pool of crimson paint and began to move it across the canvas. But then, my breath caught in my throat. As he painted, a soft shimmering light began to form around his paw. It solidified into the shape of a hand, a familiar, gentle hand, resting over his, guiding his every stroke. It was my grandmother's hand. I watched, tears streaming down my face, as she and my cat painted together, a silent, beautiful dance of light and shadow. I sat there for a long time, just replaying that single, impossible moment, the glowing hand, the focused little cat, the colors blooming under their combined touch. It all clicked into place. My grandmother hadn't left me. Her love, her spirit, her passion for art, it hadn't vanished. It had just found a new vessel, a new set of brushes, or in this case, paws. Every stroke Momo made wasn't just paint on canvas. It was a message. It was her warmth, her comfort, her way of telling me she was still here. The grief that had been a heavy weight in my chest began to feel lighter. It transformed into a profound, aching sense of gratitude. That afternoon, for the first time in months, I walked into the studio and felt a pull, not of sadness, but of purpose. I picked up my own brush, the wood familiar and comforting in my hand. I squeezed fresh paint onto my palette and set my canvas right next to Momo's. As I started to paint, he looked over at me and let out a soft meow, as if to say, "What took you so long?" And with tears of joy in my eyes, I painted alongside my cat, whispering, "Thank you. Thank you for not leaving me alone." Months turned into a year. The studio was no longer silent. It was filled with the soft scratch of brushes, the occasional meow, and the quiet hum of two artists at work. My art came back to life, but it was different now. It was richer, deeper, filled with a light I couldn't have created on my own. Eventually, I gathered enough courage to open my own small gallery. Every single painting was signed with a simple M&A for Mia and Momo. People who visited would always say the same thing. They'd say the paintings felt alive, that they radiated a special kind of warmth. They said it felt like they weren't painted by one person, but by two souls working in perfect harmony. And they were right. On sunny afternoons, when the light hit the gallery floor just right, you could see them. Faint, shimmering paw prints that seemed to glow with a golden light. A little reminder that some bonds are so strong, they create beauty that transcends time itself. Thanks for watching our story. If you believe in a little bit of magic, be sure to subscribe for more.